It's your boy Kriss to the B. You know the vibes. Brand new Retro Podcast. Top Jam Entertainment. Got a very special guest. I haven't been on episodes for a minute right now. The last episode I gave y'all was with Father Tech, 10K challenge winner. He just made it to the main stage of Back to the City 2023. So shout out to my boy Father Tech while trying a 0-2, 0-6. I mean SBK 0-6. I mean, only someone is watching this night.
This was transporting the 0-2
You already know, ladies and gentlemen, as y'all can tell, that voice, that face right here, you know, I know you're familiar with what time it is. If you know me, you know this guy. I'm in the building right now. Brand new Retro Podcast, Top Jam Entertainment. Big homie.
What's up, Kriss? What up?
My nigga Landmarque, last day's fan. What's the vibe,
in the building. What? The vibe is good, bro. The vibe is good. Definitely I'm really happy to be here because I remember it must have been 2 or 3 or 4 months ago you were hollering on some
yes.
We need to chop it, and then you disappeared. I'm like,
because this is you know how these things are, man. Like, you know, I mean, you put plans together and then plans fall on the wayside and you're like, shit, let's do this shit. But I remember Sishaya, like the Freestyle Fridays, Staggy T's Freestyle Fridays. And I literally bumped into you on the live. Like, you were on the live with a guy in America. I'm not really sure what's his name. Stevie Booster.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up with Aqua L. You're like, here's another guy that does great things here in South African hip hop. Check this guy out. I'm like, yo, this is so ill, man.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, mad respect to everything that you've done as an independent artist and everything that you've achieved. You feel me?
Salute,
so we here, dog. Like, I'm super excited, man.
Same here.
Like, I know I've done it.
Okay. I know you're giving me props, but I need to give you props for the culture, because you know what I mean. If we don't have people like yourselves who are actually doing stuff behind the scenes for the culture, then we don't even have this. So big up.
Yo, man, that's really
that's hip hop.
That's hip hop. I respect that, man. I respect that, and that's one thing like you get from people that are like from a cultural background. Like, regardless of what you've done or what you are doing, there's always a I see you as well. You know what I mean? And which is something I think is missing in the mainstream and just in not even hip hop. Just in general in the mainstream, it's hard for people to like take that head off to say, yo, you're doing good things for whatever it is that you do, for the actors, for theater pieces, for poetry, for whatever. So truly appreciate that. Tough Jam and all of that. Getting into it though, because me, I want to get into the gist of things, but I do want to like give people the background before we get into Landmarque, the person and things like that. So, Mina, my intro into you, basically into what you guys do. Last Day's Fam. How I find out about Landmarque is Last Day's Fam, and the project is Eternal Effect, right? And how I found out about it is not even the CD. There was a DVD you guys had. I'm not sure if it's that. That's the project. I had a lady I was messing with, and she happened to be a hip hop head, and she had the tape and the DVD. So me, I'm at the spot and we watching. She's like, dude, I know more hip hop than you. I'm like, you can't know more hip hop than me. You don't know these guys. I'm gonna play this. So she played that DVD. You guys were performing all over. I think Joburg.
Yo, bro.
Give us a perspective. You would see, because a lot of people know the story, but like, how you guys started and for y'all to be doing things that a lot of independent artists were not doing at the time.
So we literally realized that we have to make do with whatever was accessible, regardless of what it looked like. You know, I mean, that particular DVD, for instance, a lot of that content was shot on a camcorder. So we were like, all right, look. In fact, I think Def Jux had recently released a behind the scenes thing where they were capturing a lot of their data and a lot of their shows and a lot of their, just behind the scenes stuff. So we were like, nah, Joe, we gotta record this stuff because it's so epic and it's happening at such a time when no one else seems to be doing it. We were like, all right, let's get a camcorder, let's record every one of our shows. And when we officially release a project, we'll attach a DVD, attach a DVD with the audio just so that we give people the background of what actually happens when we perform. So yeah, that's what that was, bro. And to answer your question around the formulation of LDF, it really was just around the culture. We were all around the same area. Tembisa 1632. In fact, we used to play on the courts, basketball courts, on Friday afternoons, and then we'd be busting freestyles at the end of a court game, And then one thing led to the next. We were like, actually, let's just do this thing. Everyone loves rap here. Let's take this on the road, man. We didn't even have a name around in terms of the collective. What it eventually became, right? It was just It was a lot of us. There was 8 of us.
Our
first project is Official Street EP 2008. And if you look into the
Official
sleeve,
Street EP.
yeah, that came out in 2008.
Can people stream that?
Yeah, we actually just put it up online now. So
Nice.
You can stream it everywhere.
Yeah.
If you look at the sleeve, if you take out the sleeve, you'll see, there's 8 cats here. Yeah, you know.
To add on to that, I remember a hype interview, you guys. I think it was a 2-page spread.
Yeah.
And you guys shot it in some dilapidated type of building, whatever. And there was a ton, maybe 8 or 10. But I remember it was a black and white shot. So when I saw y'all being 3, and what I'd seen on hype was like,
where's the rest of these?
You know what I mean? Yeah. Explain that.
Yeah, no, I mean, there were 8 of us when we officially decided, okay, we're gonna call this Last Days Fam, right? We decided to call it that, but it was actually an evolution of a name that was Last Days Clan, with Kytron, who is on that first cover, but eventually was no longer part of the group. But it was an evolution from Last Days Clan. We were like, Wu-Tang Clan, Last Days Clan. Okay, let's call it Last Days Fam, since we're kind of growing and we're kind of forming a brotherhood, you know what I mean? And that's why it was difficult to even give it a name and a place. Because it was just, we just saw it as something bigger than ourselves. You know, we were just like, actually, let's just do this. It's for the love, it's for the experience. If we need to formalize it, we'll formalize it later. But for now, let's enjoy the moment. I think it was just about, actually, let's have fun.
Two things that you mentioned earlier, actually, and you literally just went past it. You said Def Jux was dropping material at the time, right? Yeah. And I kind of remember that era because in the Revenge of the Robots, they've got a DVD that's got, you know what I mean, when they were touring America, and then a tour bus and everything.
That's the one.
That was my first experience of seeing underground rappers doing it like how mainstream rappers do with the tour bus. They at the club, they're doing this and the third. So is the whole Def Jux company flow? Is that your
heavy influence? I mean, what LP was doing there, you know, with the incorporation of the likes of RJD2 from a production point of view. I mean, they were really, almost like a branch out of Rockers Records.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And it was just, the indie culture was really just embedded into how we are going to approach this thing, because we realized we only got ourselves, so we have to rely on self for this to prosper. We're not going to ask for somebody to make it work for us. We're going to do with what we need to do. In fact, when we were recording the first project in 2008 we didn't even have a booth, though.
Like no bedroom booth, like you
didn't have a booth. You know what we did to record the first project? We took blankets. You know blankets? So we used to call it the human booth. We took blankets and we put like a semicircle blankets, and
in the middle of the room.
You had dudes holding a blanket like this, and then there was a mic in the middle with blankets around, and that's how we recorded the first project.
No. Describe the situation. You're saying in the
human booth.
So in the human booth, I'm a cheetah. So we cover 4 squares.
Like semicircle.
In
the center, one dude holding a blanket here on the left, one dude that way, and another dude this way.
What?
So we used to call it the human booth.
So the intended effect, or the Streets EP was recorded that way.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So what makes one what?
The love, dog. It's like making do. Like I'm so used to struggling that it's no skin off my back, though, because I know what it takes to make things happen. When you have to rely on yourself and no one else, you kind of like, there's a way around this thing.
Yes.
Let's not. There's no hindrance. I'm going obstacle. And I think it's also a personal philosophy. Instead of seeing blockages and obstacles, I kind of like, where's the way around here?
How can we move around?
How can we move around this?
That's crazy,
this
man.
It's not the end of the road. There's gotta be a way. There's gotta be a slipway. So yeah, I think it's just the personal philosophy. And Amachita Vera, we were all kind of like saying, okay, what is the art of the possible? Instead of looking at what's impossible to achieve, we always were like, okay, what's possible? What's possible?
Sure, we see the L's, but where's the W's?
Where's the W's? There's gotta be W's in between.
Exactly. That's very inspiring. Now, and like the second question because you went, I'm like, I didn't even expect that detail, dude.
Sure.
Like that's really cool. Y'all see what we bring y'all though. Like That is, nobody's ever known that.
No, we have.
That niggas in Tembisa don't know
They
that.
don't know that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like a follow-up question from the previous one, man. As people that were inspired by, I'm not saying that's the only inspiration you had, but by the whole definitive jux movement, which is also an inspiration of mine. And I feel like when I found definitive jux, it made me more rebellious and more anti-system. You know what I mean? Whether that's a negative or positive thing.
So that's where NTV will. Okay, anyway, let's get
we'll get back to where anti-V comes from. But that's one of the reasons why anti-V. But like, as you, Def Jux literally stands for anti-system in essence. So how do you guys get inspired by probably the most anti-system rap formation to ever exist and be a Christian group in that era?
I think that's the beauty of life, true. You know, I've recently also just realized that every type of establishment exists, but I've seen that it seems as if the only way to prosper within the system is to actually break the rules. You understand what I mean? It's like, I feel like the rules were created for those who needed to be controlled by the rules, but those who succeed are actually the ones who live on the fringes of the rules. So it didn't matter at the time that our message was anti whatever was current at the time. We were like, actually, this is the fuel of demonstrating how you can actually succeed with a contrarian sort of type of message, or that's different from the norm.
Yes.
In fact, that is the whole spirit of hip hop. It's like, you know, when you think about the fact that the Wu-Tang and RZA used to talk about selling CDs from the back of the ride at some point, it was always like, there's an establishment, there's a way to do things, but there's a way to exist outside of that and bring people to an understanding of, yo, you come hear this. Yeah, I know you got that, but come hear this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that was the fuel itself to say, okay, we know we're dope. We know we can actually do this. So let's change the messaging, but let's keep it real. Let's make sure that the art form does not get compromised. You know what I mean? So I think that the length and the breadth of that is available for all of us to exist in all different lanes.
And you guys never had, because obviously you sound like somebody who like, if you've decided, well, this is the path that I'm going to take, or this is what I want to do this day, this is what I'm going to do. So anybody's opinion on the thing really doesn't matter beyond. So you guys had no fear. That's why I'm asking. I'm saying that you guys had no fear as a hip hop underground crew, and with all this rebellion, people are trying to find their Africanicity, and you're out just saying Christianity, which is a Western concept, or can be seen as a Western concept. Do you guys have those fears which will be rejected simply because you are pushing a white man's agenda?
100%, dog. I mean, but that's why it was important to also actually believe it, because, you know, if it's not rooted within your core and it's not really something that you're willing to stand for, you can quickly switch lanes. You know, when you are confronted or when you are rejected, you can quickly like, okay, yeah, you know, put that aside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it needed to be authentic enough for it to exist, even in the face of rejection, even in the face of dudes not knowing how to deal with y'all. Like, I remember specifically, you know, people didn't know how to deal with us. It was so hostile at some point that people found it difficult to perform either before or after us. That's how hostile it was. But it kind of like, we were so certain about what we were doing that none of that mattered, you know what I mean?
So if you give me a thing, what's here, like, when is last day's art?
Yeah, don't put us close to those cats. I remember this, you know, Slachis, there was one time, it was Smoking Yambe and Jay, I forget these names.
Jay Poogie.
Jay Poogie. They were the hosts on this one particular event where there was actually a competition. Last Day's Fan actually won the best hip hop or the best musical outfit to represent Music May Day in Tanzania, 2009, 2008. And I just remember how hostile it was during the knockout phases, you know, because it had to be on merit. It couldn't be on anything else.
Yes.
And that like that was
this in Soweto?
That's the stuff.
Oh snap!
Like, we were. I think it was like at least 4 or 5 knockouts.
How many Eastern acts were there?
I think we were the
only ones. So even the hostility was like 10 times.
So it was a turf thing. So
obviously, I performed in Soweto, man. Shout out to my Soweto family. You know I love y'all. Yeah. But y'all be weird with that turf, though.
It was turf. It was content. It was like, nah, not these cats. Like, but we just kept on going, dog.
And the crowd loves it.
Crowd, that's the other thing. Thank God for the crowd, dog. You know what I mean? Because they also actually fuel this sort of rebellion. You know, because they're like, damn, what the hell, you
bro?
niggas
That
on?
DVD.
What are you niggas on?
What sold me on that DVD is there's no come down moment, bro. Like the whole hour and a half, everything is like boom, boom, boom. Some tracks you repeat even, but it's like boom, boom, boom. It's like, hey yo, I gotta bump these joints.
Yeah. And every track and every performance, although it's the same joint, it just always feels different, Joe.
No,
I mean, we did that, Mvana. We must have put. I used to have this one ride that we used to roll in most of the time. I must have put just on performing like every single weekend. I must have at least put in 100,000 Ks on that car, just at shows. But I can't think of a show that we haven't been to, honestly.
No, 100%.
From Soweto to East Rand to
everywhere.
Devin, that Joe in that day I put mileage, Joe. Mileage.
Shout out to Elas Days, bro. Like you guys did a lot. You guys did international situation as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Ill Mind. I think you guys.
Yeah, we before.
Like in fact, I want to get into how you guys can, because it's easier now. You know what I mean? It's easier now. I have conversations with Rome Streets on a regular, Conway on a regular, Jack Pro, and I'm not name dropping. You people know. You know what's up with that.
Like he makes it normal.
You guys know. These are random.
What the hell?
But shout out. But like back then, before, like how do you connect people in mind and all
the
these?
symbolic one. Again, it was like, okay, who else is doing this right now? Okay, no one is doing it. Remember, it's also like I'm a fan before all of this, right? So I'm a fan of the music.
Important.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the music. I'm a producer, so I was making beats, and I had made a lot of the beats on the first project and a lot of beats on the second one. And during the creation of the Eternal Effect, the double disc, we were like, yo, bro, how dope it would be to get someone from overseas on this project, you know? Let's try it out, you know? Who's our favorites? At the time, it was Kev Brown, it was Symbolic One, it was Ill Mind, you know, and a handful of others. And the dope thing is that at the time, they were also kind of startups, you know? They were also, you know, kind of, they were not established at the time. Symbolic One, he made power now, but at that time, we had heard him so much and we're like, yo, this dude would be dope. And I reached out to him. I sent him an email, Symbolic One, you know? Yo, dude, this is who we are. We're a little group from SA, blah, blah, blah. We dig your stuff. You know, what would it take to get a CD or a beat from you at this point, you know? And he responded by saying, I'm on the verge of signing a major contract. You guys have just come to me at the right time. Because if you came a week later, I would have sent you to my manager, you know? But, you know what? Let's keep this on a one-on-one. Let's make something happen. What's your sound? He sent a beat pack. Oh, Joe, I still have that beat pack. I haven't heard any of those beats being used before. Like, yo, we should have taken all of them. But I still got that beat pack that he sent, possibly the dopest stuff I had ever heard, you know? And Namachika, we listened, so which one are we gonna take? And then we selected. Same with Ill Mind, same with Kev Brown. Today, Ill Mind is huge. There's no ways, maybe he might respond to your inbox, but there's no ways that you're gonna get a beat pack.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I mean, he's doing packs now, he's doing these kicks, drums, and snares type of things. But anyway, yeah, that's all it took, man. It literally was reaching out. Here's a clip of who we are. Here's our website. Here's what we've done. It will be an honor if you jump on.
I think the most important thing, like I feel like with everything that you said in terms of how you approach like meeting different people or how you approach the game, is it's gotta be done. And it's gotta be done by me. And I mean, that's the one thing I think a lot of creatives, whether they're behind the scenes or in front of the camera, by of course, this thing has to be done by you, has to be pushed by you. Yeah. You have to market this thing. You have to let the people know. You have to let them people that you want to work with know, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And this is something I feel like is really, it's missing in South African hip hop, like in general, and it's growing now with the younger guys and whatnot. Like, and when I say younger guys, I mean 25 and what. Don't act like before you. You people act like you're 50 and what. When we say younger guys, no, the respect. Some of y'all 27, you're closer to us than you think, you know. But like, I think that's a very, very like for people to see that, because I know there's a lot of people like Landmarque now that see you as an independent artist and the whole last day situation, but also you are so closer to these other niggas as well? Because I think you've got songs with mainstream cats as well. Bo Reason and stuff, right? Bo P.O, I'm not sure.
Yeah, P.O now with
Yeah, that's sort of like
but,
so.
I mean, Reason we've been crossing. I mean, we've
Reason is also
crossed,
like it's strange to talk about Reason because he's really from like
he's from
like from the
he
like,
makes
you know
reference to Last Day's Fam on his projects.
Basically, so like for me, it's like basically making things closer to home, like making things more realistic to younger cats or whatever that want to do so-called real hip-hop, to be like, it's not impossible. It's literally just you taking the responsibility, saying, I'm gonna DM, I'm gonna email. It's either one or two results. It's either a response or no response, bro. You're really not gonna die if the guy doesn't respond, because the guy's not gonna say, you're an African guy, don't inbox me, don't email me type vibe, you know what I mean? So I think that's very important for people to know, at least younger people and other artists our age as well, for them to know, yo dog, it's Kriss and whatnot, you know what I mean? So now with the whole situation of Last Day's Fam doing its thing and moving, you guys went to Tanzania. I think I remember that. Was that on Hype as well? Né?
Yeah, they covered.
I think that was on Hype, because I used to be like heavy Hype head before it went the way it went. But shout out. So in terms of stages, platforms, what would you say outside of the Crown Awards? Because I know you guys got nominated for that, and you actually won that, right?
We won that.
Best hip hop, best gospel hip hop.
Yeah, and the same year, Sama nominated us for best album, hip hop album. That same year. Kulichana won that year.
Whoa, when Kulichana had the camouflage jacket, you guys were at Sunsets.
We were one of the 5, yeah.
Whoa! I remember watching that, and you're like, and I saw Kulichana going, because also I feel like that's his year. But now when you bring it back, I'm like, whoa!
We were there. Our project was there, man.
And when did you guys start getting nominated for South African Hip Hop Awards?
Oh, the South African Hip Hop Awards from 2009.
I remember when Tabs was nominated as well with Pro Kid.
2 years, yeah.
And you guys went in a crazy marketing situation, and people were.
The same year that Josie, you remember Josie?
Josie, I remember Bongani and the Les and them.
I think they won the previous year, and then the next year we won.
You won Best Hip Hop,
and then after that, the South African Hip Hop Awards were defunct.
Okonjo was the Hype Awards, wasn't it? The Hype Awards.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
It was the Hype Awards.
It was the MTN South African Hip Hop Hype Awards.
Yes.
Before the Saha.
When Tabs got on stage and called out Pro Kid, remember? The turban and everything. There's a video.
Because the Sahas are recent, right? The Sahas as we know them now.
From what I know, the story I know is that when the Hype people were not willing to do an event the next year, the Saha people were like, we're gonna do it. Type thing, you know what I mean?
Cool. Yeah.
So
we were part of the first, the MTN Hype Award,
And so basically, like in terms of like the biggest stages that for how you feel, like where you felt, yo, I think we really like.
No, I think the biggest. I'm just as you were talking. One of the things that was really prominent is actually Skyroom Live. Remember Skyroom
Live? You guys didn't. Oh, I remember.
Dog.
Oh, I remember Skyroom. I remember Skyroom Live. Heavy,
bro. I think, and props to people like Zamba, who was actually the guy who was booking ads at the time for his bravery to do what he felt was dope, instead of kind of listening to whatever was the flavor of the day. Because he called it, I think 2 years in a row, or maybe there was a year in between. We were on Skyroom Live, and then we made it back with new management and new crew twice. And Reiko was our DJ the second time. But first of all, the first time I think we had a band there. But yeah, Joe, I think that stage kind of solidified Last Day's Fam's presence and imprint in like South African hip hop, even from a media perspective, because that stuff was on SABC, though. You know what I mean?
No, 100%, bro. Like I remember Skyroom, now when you said it, I go back now because I remember Staggy T's one, and I remember even Uzuban, this girl, Mtanaga Ibrahim.
Who's
that lady? She did one as well.
Zaki Ibrahim.
Yeah, Zaki Ibrahim. Yeah. So I remember I had a transport situation. I just got to JSEC at the time. So I had a transport situation. It's either one of my boys gonna steal his mom's car, some shit, for us to be able to get to these things. Yeah. Every time it happened, I could never make it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But very, very, very important. Now, within that whole transition, dog, like we could talk about Last Days a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we spoke about it because I need people
yeah.
to understand the background, and it's very important. Like, I'm not saying there's no Landmarque without Last Days, but we know Landmarque because
it's such a pivotal and an important, line in the sand that Last Days Fam was the vehicle through which a lot of people got to know me. It's a
Yes,
fact. You know
yes.
what I mean?
Now-
In fact, we made it on this year's 50th year Back to the City. We're
Yes.
on there. Last Days Fam is on there.
French for 40 years of South
40 years of
African
South
hip-hop.
African hip hop. So it's great to
Yeah.
be part of the fabric of this country's history in that sense, though. But yeah, so there's
Before we jump into details, I'm actually gonna get into your story after Last Days Fam. But like, let's get into your 50 years and your 40 years. Quick fast. When do we find hip hop? Landmarque.
When?
What year?
Like us?
What year? Landmarque. When does Landmarque find hip hop?
96 to be specific. I even got a joint around that. It's called Think Twice Music. I actually explained this whole thing.
Whoa! So you find hip hop and you become hip hop in '96, or you?
Speakers
Because there's a difference
phone back on
between.
speakerphone. My man on the other end of the line, asylum seeker zone. I'm thrown back, trying to kick around to a soul clap. I reminisce on time I used to walk that talk rap. Catch a cab downtown, walk to Rocky Street. Get an album, cop the latest copy of the rap sheets. Used to page to the source when looking for the unsigned and go across the look and listen, spending on my lad's dime. With no cash, so I gotta catch a train back. I had to go to Bromfie Station. I used to hate that. Looking through the album cover made it worth it though. Can't wait to bump it on the stereo. Can't wait to get it home. I got a whole track that I explain like this love with this.
So that track is called.
Think Twice Music. It's
Yeah.
It's official Streets EP that we took out in 2008. But I just explain it though, because that's why I'm saying I'm a head first. I'm a lover.
Yes.
of
You're
the art.
culture.
So that's how it started, dog. I had a friend of mine. We used to exchange tapes, and there was a place called Sound Asylum, Rocky Street, there, Joe's. And I used to catch a train, dog, just to come there to listen. Back in the days where there was, they'd have earphones. Yeah, you take something, listen, and page through the source, and
Yes.
That's where it is, man. 96, dog. 96. Yeah, like as a
That's fire.
early high schooler coming to Jersey on the train.
Yes, and there's also
Every
an
Saturday.
East Strander. Like, people don't understand it's an East Strander. I'm fine, I went
Oh,
to
fun
the
is
like 10 minutes from here, dog. Exactly, I'm trying to jam. No, that's dope, man. So, we fast forward to Last Days Fam, and then not even to just go past the Last Days Fam story, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot that we can go into about that. But now, transition from the crew aspect into a solo artist. Now, as a fan of Last Days Fam, right? And shout out to the whole crew. You know what I mean? Love those guys. But I will say this as a fan of Last Days Fam, I did ask as well for a solo from Landmarque. And I'm not being weird or nothing. You've heard that tons of times. At the peak of the crew, and I mean, the crew would kill a session. I've followed you guys all over. I remember going to after beers with like only 5 black people there. Me and my girlfriend and your team. Literally, we're the only people there because I'm such a fan. So it's not even about Uguti. I'm being weird or nothing if they're homies, because the niggas, they know I love them individually because I speak to them even on WhatsApp. You know what I mean? But asking for the whole like Last Days Fam solo situation, from how do you receive that when it first gets into the situation? And also, I mean, obviously you eventually did it, but when you first received it, what goes on?
You see, this story that I've just explained in 96, there was no Last Days Fam there. I was just a kid to do this thing. So I know there was a place, it started, and I heard about it, I had never been there. So this one girl in the class was like, yo, I see you like this hip hop stuff, you always talking tapes, you always got these tapes, do you know how to rap? I'm like, I can try. She's like, okay, come on. Fridays, Nico, on this Saturday, every week there's a hip hop show. I'm like, oh, okay. Wrote some rhymes, got there, kicked it, there was a response. My first attempt, There was
First attempt at rhyming.
Rhyming and rapping. I mean, of course I had it.
Yeah,
I've always kind of written, you know, but I hadn't performed. Up until that point, I hadn't performed to a crowd. So that happened. So Landmarque was actually born on that stage.
So as a solo artist,
as a solo artist, there was no one there. So, over time, and then I met Last Day's Clan years down the line. So I've always known that at some point there may be an opportunity. In fact, people who know, those who know me before Last Day's Clan, before Last Day's Clan became Last Day's Clan, know that this dude, you know, we expect something from that. So it wasn't a surprise, right? Because those who only know me from Last Day's Fam hear me and they're like, yo, dude, you need to go solo. But those who knew me before
prior,
were like, we always knew this was coming.
Yeah.
But only those who only know the history, which completely understandable. And I always knew it, and I always knew that they would come, but I was like, you know, people come
and it's never been like a weird ego thing, right?
Even that French fan knew it. They were like, they always knew it because actually, let me be a bit more crisp with the timeline, right? So, Last Day's Clan actually featured me on 2 tracks
before you jumped on.
Before I became a member. So there was 2 tracks, and it was Bonafide and Kytron. Yo, dude, we heard you rap, you know, come through. They called me out and I featured on 2 tracks. Performed those tracks together. And then I was like, okay, let me be part of the crew, you know?
Nice,
and then
detail.
And my inclusion into the crew, because of where I stayed, these dudes that I'm talking about that we used to play basketball, Cleasy, Emphasis, a lot of them, where I stayed, I was like, yo, Machita, you know, something's happening, let's go, you know? So that's what happened. And that's how the fan then kind of changed from clan to fan.
Yeah.
Because I came along and I brought in a lot more people to create a movement. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's really all it is. Yeah.
Now, I remember seeing you like when I'm not sure which project y'all were launching, but at Capello's, when Capello's was at Newtown at the corner. Remember, people.
That's that project. That's the 2008
I watched y'all from outside because it was so cool inside.
This is the beat. Yo. I'm trying to see if there's a drum coming up or if it's just the acoustic version. What up, Massive Metro, the element. They told me at some point that the trouble would vanish, that I gotta keep it humble when I write in the canvas. It's a rumble in the jungle and Muhammad is vanished. Daniel in the lion's cage with a muzzle into a palace. Keep it in the fam like it's Michael and Janet. If you wanna go to war with stone, cold, marble and granite. Marvel, totalitarian fascist. Language, there's a certain way to talk to a savage. Keep it single hand like Patagonian sling bags. Send a man trapped in a Babylonian think tank. Think add trouble, your trouble assassin wingman. Unmatched like the price of gold to a Swiss franc. You reckless, moving Colombian crossfire. Reckless like a Caracas rival at breakfast. Breathless, getting harder to finish a sentence. I'm echoing Biggie, give me the Rollie and the Lexus. I'm rising to the crown, bringing everything I got. It don't matter who's around when I roll up on the spot. It's gonna be pound for pound when you see me take a shot. It's gonna be director's cut, how I'm flipping up the plot. Get me in the lab when I'm splicing up an atom. Liven up the cab, animal, angel, Adam. All 3 levels, eternity, death and back. Stay manifest, light a fire, fade to black. Hey! What? Woo!
Now, I remember seeing y'all like when I'm not sure which project y'all were launching, but at Capello's, when Capello's was at Newtown at the corner. Remember, people.
That's that project. That's the 2008
I
project.
watched y'all from outside because it was so full inside.
Done.
Now, my next question is that before we like go in depth with your solo joints, when does this shit change? You would see. Like out time, like because I couldn't move there. That's what I'm saying. Me and my boy, we watched the shit from the outside. We're traveling from Benoni. Nana Kija, Mara, Elastis Family at Ropa, Launcher. So we there, this is one of them back. I'm thinking about that, but the cultural center under the bridge somewhere. But I know which we did it for that thing. So now, when do you think the change happens? You guys can not randomly, of course, because you're marketing but fill out capellos like that with the sort of hip hop that you guys do. And then 2-3 years later, apparently that hip hop is not relevant anymore. What happens? Like, what do you think? Like, are we bugging? Are we crazy? Or did somebody lie to us about what was relevant or irrelevant?
Hey, Mbana, that moment was so special that Capello's.
That was ill.
That was Mbana.
You could see people
came out
from Emery Fields, because I'm sure it's like close to Emery Fields. Yeah. So even if you're at Emery Fields,
you could
like
see.
So you could see the stage there.
You know what I think it was when I entered? I think it was the love of authenticity and the love of just the indie culture. I think there was a spirit around just celebrating, I call it the underdog, but also just celebrating those who dare to dream. Because I really was daring, dog. I mean, think about it.
Yes. Dog.
So I think I remember speaking to the owner or the manager of Capello, just explaining to them what we're trying to do and the attention that they gave us. I think the novelty of what we were doing was so rare that people actually wanted to be part of the story, Kriss. You know what I mean? I think that's what happened. People wanted to be part of the story. They wanted to participate in just seeing how far this can get. But there was something even more, dog. There was something of a sentimental value, emotional connection to the music that we were making. Like tracks like Time. It's funny how the days go by. I mean, when we were kicking those tracks,
change the format.
You know what I mean?
Like I think I know when it plays, I know word for word.
Yeah. And I think there was just something special from an age group perspective as well. Because when we were kicking this stuff, a lot of the people when we were performing, particularly at UJ and all the varsities, around Gauteng, there was something special about our presence and what our music means to those people at that time of their life. Till today, there's people like, yo, my varsity days were glorious because of Last Day's Fan. We were the soundtrack of people's, like the big stages in people's lives. Our tracks were some of their soundtracks. So I think, to come back to, I think there was an indie culture. There was just this, and
you guys had this fine sound. Like, you guys were, like, there was a lot of, like, those rap groups. But you guys had a thing that Squatter Camp came in with, and they had a thing. It's a professional rap group.
Yeah.
Last Day's Spam was underground or whatever, but it was a professional rap group. You know what I mean?
No,
if I'm not mistaken.
No. That you said something that I remember specifically. At Book of Life. I mean,
shout out to Gift.
I hope he sees this. Yeah.
Shout out to Gift, man.
One day, Joe, Book of Life, after these random performances, just to echo on your professionalism point, right? Because we took it that seriously, right?
Yes.
We really
I
took it
remember,
seriously.
like, watching as a fan, I can attest to that.
So I remember Book of Life coming after one of the shows. It's like, dog, I don't know, you guys. There's just something about you guys, the way that you approach this thing, that just makes different from just another hip hop, whatever. Like there's just something, like when you guys get on stage, I don't know, like there's something that makes us as fans want to listen, even us as MCs.
Yes.
Like we want to hear. So yeah, I think it's definitely the seriousness to which we took. Because for us, at some point, it was like ministry. Like we were like, okay, people need to hear this stuff. We want to bring some level of healing, transformation. That's what we call it, change music. We didn't just want to, in fact, one of our bylines is, we want our music to last after we've stepped off the stage, Like that's how we wanted the impact of our music to linger on in people's lives. Yeah? So there was definitely like a seriousness of like, okay, can we really transform people, or are we just crazy? Like, is it dumb? Is it a dumb pursuit? Or can music really be that instrumental to actually kind of alter someone's understanding? Yeah. So there was that seriousness that we took it with, which therefore informed this professionalism angle that you mentioned now. Yeah?
Yes.
And I think that's what also made it different. Yeah? But then things changed. To answer your first question around, okay, what happened? Like after Capello, all of a sudden, I think what happened after that is like we went into Pop Bottles era. Like,
yes.
There was this movement from this indie movement for hip hop to then the commercial. When I mean commercial, I'm not talking sound now.
Yeah.
I'm not talking just how it sounds. There was just okay, how can we make these things successful?
Yes.
Okay, now we went into more, I want to call it high-end entertainment. That wasn't about the music so much, but it was the experience. So I think that's what happened.
Packaging, selling,
selling, that. The looks, like hip-hop went mainstream. Hip-hop basically went mainstream.
Which, if we understand, when you first saw, like, let's say, when you first saw Jeremy the Damager, right? I'd heard Jerry the Damager. But when I seen him, that nigga looked like how I wanted to dress with the brown clothes and all that shit. Like that was my mentality was there at the time.
Yeah.
Even if without the turban per se, but the whole military gear, militant, I feel like I'm a militant, I'm going through my purist phase or whatever. So that's marketing, that is branding, that is packaging, which is something I think a lot of independent artists would not necessarily now, but like have ignored for a very long time. And I think they've taken L's because of that by saying it's just the music that has to sell. And it's not just the music, that doesn't necessarily the dressing part, but the fact that you guys were able to let's say Christian rap group, that on its own, whether you want to listen to a Christian rap group or not, it brings debate.
Yes.
How are you a hip hop? But you are doing Christian, you know what I mean, type of shit. You know what I mean? That's already debate. That's also yes. Or yo, let me hear these niggas talking about. What are they talking about? Are they saying Jesus every bar? No. You know what I mean? Those sort of vibes. But I think it's a very important thing for Abantu that are watching, especially younger artists that are struggling with identifying Abantu that they like as musicians, but they can't picture how did this nigga sell himself? Type shit, you know what I mean? But within that, I mean, again, like the whole situation of this is to get into the music, understand you as the artist, like spread it to the people, nani. But I'm not sure if you've checked out before our part, but doesn't matter. I'm into the world, you know what I mean? Like current events, what's going on? Is the world moving progressively? Is the world going back? What's really going on? Who's in charge? Who's not in charge? Who's evil? Who's good? You know what I mean? And I know you're a guy that's very inquisitive and that's very in tune with what's going on with current events. And I'm not gonna go too in depth, try talking about Trump and Vladimir Putin and all them niggas, right? I'm gonna bring it like right here at home. Young son, see I vote that next year in Jam. And I know you're a very vocal person, Makfia, in terms of the sort of leadership. It's now like South Africa. In general, when do you think things, I've got 2 or 3 questions layered into this, but when did black leadership go wrong after 94? Because I believe at 94, I really believe them guys were intellectually capable enough and empathically, like they had the heart to want to do it for the people. I don't know what happened after whatever happened with the white people. But when do you think it went wrong with black leadership? Unless you think I'm lying about that it went wrong.
No, bro. There's something definitely wrong. Okay? That's a fact. We wouldn't be, as a society now, South Africans, we wouldn't be this frustrated with the lowest amount of job numbers or employment that are possible right now. I mean, just think about it. 3 out of 5 people can't find a job. Young people our age group, you know, those who are employable, that's those who are looking. Now, what about everyone else who's given up? So if that's the situation, it means that it's in engagement. Now, yes, a person can say, but that's an economic thing. It doesn't have to do with politics, but politics is power, right? So meaning the leadership of the country is letting our citizens down. And the citizens who are actually going to change anything about this country are the very unemployed youth that are suffering to get jobs right now. So what has gone wrong to allow a situation where the majority of employable people can't be employed? That in itself is it's an indictment on our leadership right now. How can we be so powerless? How can our leaders be so powerless to allow the death and the decay of the country because of unemployment? It's that serious, dog. It's not just about the fact that whether people can afford basic services. That is so wrong that the ills that then come as a consequence of that are far-reaching. Because
for instance, Bamba Mahaist, it's normalized, like I couldn't Bamba Mahaist. But to be honest, nobody's trying to risk their lives with Bamba Mahaist out time. A nigga would rather go get a job at KPMG somewhere or even a Pick and Pay than Bamba Mahaist. So people getting moved and forced into those situations is a result of black leadership. And I'm specifically saying black leadership because in 30 years of apartheid, and there's things that haven't been addressed because of apartheid, but even that can be indictment on the black leadership, which you guys didn't address that. You guys decided to forgive that in 94. You guys decided to say, no, white people at school, keep all the companies, it's all cool. You know what I mean?
The
Those
decisions that were made by them, So anyway, coming back to your question, where has black leadership gone wrong? Ne? I think it's at the moment where leadership separated themselves from the masses. Okay? What I mean is that the minute where you create an elitist, a class that's elite because they're in political leadership, and you separate them from the struggles of the people, I think you've lost context. Context in that time. Meaning, you can't separate yourself and say, yabo abantwana bakho bona bayongena overseas, yabo uhlala le, igesi ayicimi la uhlala khona. Like you're literally separated from the struggles. The plight of the people, it seems as if you don't understand them. So I think one of the mistakes that maybe we made is by elevating the social class of leadership to be people who are so out of touch with society that they have no ability to connect with the masses.
Is that their fault or our fault?
We've elevated them there. We voted in 1994, so partially we are to blame. So
we gave them power, but I don't think we said they must be like they must feel like they are bigger than us simply because they're the minister or whatnot.
Yeah.
Because I've seen like I've got a shout out to my mom's. My mom's is a director in the government situation.
Sure.
I've seen how she gets treated in family gatherings or even social circles where she gets called to come speak and whatnot. Like there can be somebody that says something way more heavier and more important to the people. But as soon as they say, Umama Khatewe, director of this and the third, everybody starts.
Yeah, they wanna guys to lose up. So
I asked myself, I even said it to her, but moms, you do realize though now, and then she actually like cemented into her head and actually is more calmer now when she's in those situations than acting all high and mighty and stuff. You know what I mean? But that's my point. Is it them or was it us? This is what I'm saying. Minister or what? This and that, director generally.
Yeah, but I wonder what you touched on though. It's such an important part, that it actually needs for us to take a deeper look into ourselves, because the same thing that you explained, you see it like with again the class thing in terms of people, a king, a king who is revered for nothing more than having a lineage generations ago connected to a monarchy. If you ask yourself what have they done to deserve the merits of respect, they've done nothing except being born at the right or under the right family. Okay? They've done nothing though. All they have is a monarchy and a lineage to some rulers generations ago. Again, it's an African system where we revere our leaders, but it calls us to question. We would say, is that working for the majority of the people? Is it really working? Sometimes I really think that some of the problems is that I think we take Western forms of government and we want to include them here, but maybe the way in which our societies are set up themselves are just a mess. Maybe we need to create some separations in terms of, okay, there's this dynasty, there's this kind of, lineage of monarchy, and there's a system of rulership based on tribal means. But and then there's the government, which is the Western system based on democratic. Like, I think we South Africa and Africa in general are in this weird situation. Let me just take this a bit further, because I'm really, really...
No, get in.
So I used to run a podcast with a friend of mine. It's called African History. I actually need to send you a link to one of those. We recorded a bunch of episodes. It's the African History Podcast. It actually still exists. The domain still exists. The thing that we kept on asking ourselves at the time was like, Maracho, is democracy actually working for us? Like, just think on that a minute.
In the westernized idea, definition of democracy. Yeah.
Let's take democracy as a system of governance. Democracy says the majority shall rule. Okay? Kriss, ask yourself, and this is not to say that I want to make distinctions because of IQ. If you allow people to govern themselves, and the majority of those people are dysfunctional, just think about it. You're saying
the people shall rule, the people shall govern. What happens if the majority of those people are dysfunctional? What type of society will you have? You'll have a dysfunctional society. Why? Because the people that you have said that the majority shall rule, if they are below a certain level of IQ, then that's what the result you will get. Yes. So sometimes I ask myself, does democracy actually work for us? Should we perhaps be looking at a place or a system whereby we elect a supreme ruler who is benevolent, who can then say, okay, as far as the future of my people is concerned, I am going to make a determination of where this nation is going to end, and I want to take this nation from here to there. You either shape up or get out. If you're not going to comply with where I want to take this nation, I'll with you. So sometimes, Kriss, I think a lot of the fingers are pointing to ourselves because maybe, we've taken this majority thing a little bit out of Gabo, and maybe this is actually inhibiting us from becoming the truly transformed society in that sense. So maybe the issue is in the system of governance. Maybe we should elect a benevolent dictator, a mild dictator.
Speaking. It just got super tense when you were here. Speaking to that, with what we have in play, I'm gonna wrap up the whole political situation soon.
Yeah.
But like speaking to that, what you just broke down, benevolent, all-seeing, I am right, you are wrong, but I care about you.
Yeah, I know your best interest.
You know what I mean?
Follow me, yeah.
With what we have at play, 2024, we are voting. I'm not sure if everybody's registered. I'm not sure if you're registered.
I'm definitely registered.
With what we have on take, and I'm gonna name from at least the top 5. It's the ANC, it's the DA, it's the EFF, it's the Action SA. Then UTM, IFP, I know that it's from I'm connections and it's got an affiliation, the ANC as well. But I saw some other ones in the boom pack thing, but Supreme something. I'm like, who these niggas? Because then I got ACDP as well. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff. But just counting on the top 5 that we have: ANC, DA, EFF, Action SA. The Nabo Rise, Nabo UTM,
Yeah.
Do we have a leader like that? And out of that, right? I think the most likely out of that is probably Julius Malema.
Okay.
Right? In terms of somebody that says, I know what's right for you. Just give me a chance. Speaking about Ukan, in fact, speaking about him specifically.
Yeah.
Do you believe Julius Malema is playing an act to win over the people in order for him to get into power? So you can do whatever the fuck you want? Or do you genuinely believe everything that Julius Malema says is in the interest of the people?
I think that every political leader, right, needs to sell something. I've recently come to understand that all of us, Kriss, are in the business of selling.
Yes.
We're selling a story.
Yeah.
It's a spicy story. Yeah. Every single politician has got a story that they're trying to sell. What's the story that the ruling party has sold to us? A better life for all.
Yes.
The people have believed it. Do we have it right now? Probably not. So everyone is telling a story, And for me, it's difficult to believe these stories after the experience that we have had as a country. Because I truly trusted this particular government. I was...
Ramaphosa specifically.
No, the ruling party, Joe. I mean, come on. We all come from there.
Yeah.
The ANC was the story of our lives. I mean,
now, I remember in 94,
Yeah.
I still have this vivid memory, right?
Yeah.
In Yintuan, super kid. Magpuma results, ngabuma 5. Like, same day in 27, and the Sikuduma said, tuck shop, Slama Ali.
Yeah.
City named the 5 or 6, 7, whatever old. Siawina, Donna Siawina.
Yeah.
Like, we've never voted with kids. We're like, Mara England ready, we're like, Siawina, Donna Siawina.
Sure.
Hey.
So at this point, I'm like, so every time a political leader speaks, I'm like, you see, you are are selling your story. I understand you have to sell a story.
Do you think Umalema is selling a story?
Everyone is selling a story.
But is he selling a story for the good of the people, or is he selling a story for him to get in power, like so he can fuck people up?
Economic, well, I can't tell. I mean, who knows the conviction and the reality of the story? But I can tell you that the story that's being sold is freedom fighting for economic reasons.
You
and
believe
it's a clear story. It's believable though.
But like
believable. You know why it's believable? Let me tell you why it's believable. It's believable because last econ, the majority of this country, from an economic point of view, are in terrible shape. So obviously, when anyone starts talking about economic freedom, you're going to say, damn it, this is what we need, because you know the situation. That's why Abanda, the young people are there. Why are young people, so many young people there? It's because it's speaking to the very core of the nerve of the difficulty here. Can we trust it? As far as perhaps the mistake again that we're making is that we are making the reliance on a political figure instead perhaps of the mandate of the party. Because yes, I understand that we need a leader in the party in the form of Julius, but is he really capable of making the transformation by himself, or is he reliant on those who may sabotage him within the party? So I can believe him, and he's, you know, I watch people talk, né? And one of the most people who speaks in a way that's captivating is Barack Obama. Né? Julius, when he speaks, is captivating though. All right,
he's a good orator.
He's a good orator.
Very good orator.
So it's difficult to ignore a person like that because he's mastered the ability of telling a story in a way that's compelling and convincing. So it's hard to ignore what he's saying. You kind of have to listen. And the political climate in this country is in such a way that he gets an audience because what he's talking about. So we can only trust to say, okay, right, he really believes it and can stand by it, you know. But perhaps when we start digging into the facts, I think we might find something that might be upsetting because you know the story.
Because they always got weirdo issues, backgrounds. So, but as it stands right now, Landmarque is an independent voter. And
there's a candidate that I'm actually backing. You remember there was a time last time, you know, they were opening up this independent candidate situation whereby people can get elected within like a community.
Yeah.
I think there's also something interesting in that thing, whereby you select a person and you vote for what that person stands for, and you make sure that this person understands the needs of this community.
Elect a leader directly instead of party situation where we get told. So, but in 2024...
And I also believe, okay, Kriss, the other thing that I really, really need us to talk about, I also think that South Africa is too big.
Yeah?
No.
Okay, explain that. Why do you think it's too big?
Denka ukuthi ama-country wase-Europe angakanani, like i-Switzerland, i-France, i-Germany, Austria. Lama-country mancane.
Western Europe, South Africa.
So you know what sometimes I believe, man? In fact, I've said it, I've posted it a couple of times. From Johannesburg to Cape Town is 1,200 kilometers. From Musina to Cape Town is even more. I think it's 15,000 kilometers, if not more. You expect one party to govern that territory, though. Whereas Switzerland, Germany, smaller territory. There's some provinces here that should be countries, Joe, if we were to compare them to the size of countries in Europe. Do you understand what I mean? So sometimes I think, Joe, it's to expect one can lead this whole entire country of South Africa.
So you think the 9 provinces should be separate countries?
They need to be separate countries, Joe, with their own countries.
Very hard take. That's a crazy take, bro.
That's my belief, though. Honestly, Joe. And I say this because of the way I realize how different we are. Because I think one of the reasons, okay, here's another problem that I've recently been engaging in, right? People say that, you know, I've actually spoken about this in principle in one of the podcasts that I did. The Rainbow Nation.
Yes.
What is the Rainbow Nation? What is the Rainbow Nation?
I guess that the concept was white people are here, Indian people are here, black people are here. So it was obviously a PR thing that was decided in a boardroom. Oh, yo, this is how we sell, how to keep white people here and other races so black people don't get too angry and kill them.
Okay. So the problem is there in itself, Kriss. We're trying to cover too much of a broad spectrum that it actually becomes diffused because there's too many people to please, Joe. 1. 2, there's also a very different
style from a tribal perspective. So, sometimes when I travel around and I get to a place where there's someone that I respond, let's say, or I respond in something or I respond in Tsonga. That already tells me that I'm not prepared to listen to you until you speak my language. Okay? There is a separation in this country whereby people are precious about their identity as a culture. It's serious, Joe. It's serious. Like KwaZulu, there's a special climate, there's a special temperament. The reason why we had Gazankulu, Siske, Transkei, and all those what we call, have you ever spoken to a person who colonist Ndebele? Yeah, like let's say like Kangala, for instance.
Actually, like I was raised by a stepfather that was Ndebele.
But do you understand how much they love their language? Like they love it to the point where you almost become a foreigner if you can't speak that language properly. Do you understand what I'm trying to get to? So I'm not saying that, and I know that we can argue for years. So what am I saying? I'm saying that sometimes I think we may need to look into a little bit to say, man, I hate you. I wonder if these kingdoms were allowed to govern themselves like
you think white people are right? They're separating us. So was apartheid right? Do you think apartheid was right to some people? Obviously they were fucked up.
The right to self-determination. The right for a culture to determine who they want to be.
Because they the Tswanas in their own, the Xhosas in their own, the Zulus in their own.
I see Pegasus already.
Maybe
there's merits because then you can truly say, those people, because like I said, Germany, they're so precious about their language. France, very precious. Portugal, the small strip. Italy. Those people, there's cultures in there. I think the reason I actually said this on this other thing is like that's the problem, Tina. We can't decide what's the nationality in this country.
We can't even decide
because everyone is like, no, nothing called. We're part of this country. It's difficult. It's difficult. So sometimes, I think South Africa is too big. So I think maybe must not allow other to put business in there.
You decide,
yeah, you want your currency, yeah. Yeah,
so if we do separate,
I'm a lost soul. I got no roots. That's the problem.
I don't want to get because I love that because I know you are really in with that and engaged online about it. Yeah. So that's why if I test you, not really test but ask you, be able to give me like nice depth about it. Yeah. Final question on that. Next year, in terms of the ruling party, the obviously you said you had another option that you.
I like that. Do you think candidate thing?
But if let's say for instance South Africans they don't turn out because there's 26 million voters that have never voted that are eligible that could vote ANC out easy. But let's say that doesn't happen. The ANC wins. Do you think they care enough for them to like at least bring? Because there's no way they don't see the price. And at some point, I don't care how rich you are or how detached you are. You will realize like house to house, the way EFF or whatever them niggas trying to do to his house. At some point, it will get to that. Do you think if they win next year, they've self-corrected enough for them to be like, guys, you know what I mean? That's the last question I have.
I think it needs to get. I think the only way is to change it. I think the only way we can appreciate, because sometimes nothing is spoiled. We think ANC and all the last that things are bad. Maybe we as a nation need to have someone else in power so that we can realize how good we have it. Maybe they need to go with us. Maybe it needs to change so that we can then say, hey, okay, guys, hey. At least it's the best story time with this understanding.
Because Penwell, the black god or whatever, like I call him Penwell, but I have to have the black god thing for identity. he said something about how ETA is pushing the whole, which Cape Town is a shining example of what they can do to South Africa. And then as soon as he said that, I was like, I hope you add layers to this shit. And he went exactly to where I thought he'd go. Which certain parts of Cape Town where all the white people and rich black people are at is beautiful and amazing, and the majority of all the black people is at is trash, basically. So if we, from my perspective, giving DA power just feels like enshrining the divide that's there, that's now right now, would be far more apparent. Because if you've been to Western Cape, I've been there, bro. Like, and I remember asking, and I went to white people, and I said, bro, how do you feel? Who's in Khayelitsha right now shooting what's his name, Coriander in Khayelitsha, and we just shot youngster at Camps Bay. And the difference, literally, this shit is like 30 minutes away from each other, dog. But the difference when we're shooting Coriander there and shooting youngster in Camps Bay, how do you feel as a white man? And it's one of those, I love Africa white people, so he was like, fuck white people, whatever. But how do you think giving a DA, would a DA, do we need that, where we have this one part of South Africa that looks beautiful and sensing everywhere?
That's sad, though. That cannot be. I mean, I've seen the helicopter or the drone shots of these weird divides between the super rich and the super poor.
Even Alex sent in like
just here, Joe. It's crazy. Stones throw away. So actually, I don't know. I want to actually because I think it all boils down to town planning. Yeah, because sometimes the first time you get to a suburb, one of the first things that you notice is that the pavements have got enough space for people to walk, one, and two, the vegetation is different.
Trees, lime trees, and all sorts of
so now you need to think a little bit how that is achieved. The only way that that's achieved is with proper town planning. In fact, there's a shining example of how proper town planning can actually give dignity to people. Just go to Soshanguve. Check how much I read what I was talking about. The pavement in Soshanguve, dog, is that like there's a place for Iskontera, and then the pavement, you can park a car properly or even two cars side by side. So if Mangope, and I think they were part of the people put that one.
That's one, yeah.
So if Mangope can make a decision to say, for the dignity of my people, I'm going to make sure everyone's got a decent stand. I'm going to make sure from a town planning perspective, we'll see, gune pavement for abantu bahambe, gune i-drug for i-transutus. There must be dignity. So sometimes we have to ask ourselves, how are some of these things allowed? Where does this disorder and chaos come from?
Yeah.
So why are the town planners not saying, okay, guys, you can see that you guys want to stay here, but let's plan this in a way that actually makes sense. Again, you see, that's why sometimes you have to say, Maratu, do these leaders actually care about that? Like how does someone in leadership who knows that they can change the rules and the bylaws and enforce the bylaws? Because some of the stuff actually happens because the bylaws are not getting enforced.
Yeah, political willingness.
They're going to not doing their job to say, okay, guys, guys. Like, no, not on top of each other. Why is that stuff not happening? So anyway, town planning, I think, could fix a lot of that stuff to say, okay, no, stop you guys. These people deserve dignity. There needs to be a street here. There needs to be a pavement here. There needs to be trees. Let this thing be, doesn't have to be rich. Because, if you look at Isosha and those other places, it's not like it's rich, leafy, green suburbs. You can still see Lutiksekas, but there's a level of dignity and order. So I think, Joe, if we've got these examples like that, why can't that happen in Khayelitsha? Why can't that happen in Tembisa? Why can't that happen in LX? Why can't that happen in other places? So, do they really care?
Yeah.
Just when, or is it like,
because I think that's where I'm at.
You are some human.
In terms of, as I said, I've never voted, and the main reason I've never voted was I always felt like ANC will always win. You know what I mean? And I've been anti-ANC since I remember Umbi Abambizanja Zaramkabi, and when Mugabe was showing his hardcore cruelty, and he held his hand in front of Sunday Times and said, and his defiance was against the West. That's the reason they held his hand. It was not to us, because for some odd reason, African leaders think, because whatever they think, it's everybody's idea because we're black. I have a big issue with that. As black people, we must think like this. No ways, bro. I'm a human being. I am unique. I have my own experiences, my own views and things. So anyway, outside of that, though, because I know like this thing, like for me, like, it touches me because dog, I'm a young person and I want to have a future where I can be not even the mutsepe, but at least have something where I can elevate to living comfortably, where I don't have to go answer to a white man or a black man or to a boss.
The right to self-determination.
Basically, I mean, and I don't feel South Africa gives us the opportunity there. Nobody wants to all be millionaires and billionaires, but at least give us an opportunity to live off the shit without having to rely on a boss and fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like just basic somebody deciding what you're getting paid this month or not. But outside of that, Jayami, I'm Funuga to deep color because this conversation very, very heavy. And we at some point the people don't want to watch for 3 hours of us crying and shit, you know what I mean? Let's go back to the music. So now we go solo, right? And so now I'm gonna tell you straight, I'm gonna be honest with you. This situation now in 2021, and I'm actually looking right now on Google now, it confused me because it felt like it's 3 EPs or it's songs like tell us the perspective behind, because it's Envy and I don't know how you pronounce it.
Envy and Avarice.
Avarice, Pride and Wrath, Gluttony, Sloth and Lust. Those are a separate project, especially for people that are not familiar or at least a bit bumped. You know what I mean? Break down that whole situation.
So it's 3 EPs. So
they all dropped in 2021.
All dropped one after the other, like 7 weeks apart or something like that. The whole goal was like, okay, cool. Introduction to Landmarque. You've never heard Ruby's duties. You don't know what he sounds like on a record. So I was like, okay, fine. I want to create like some sort of a storyline for people to follow, you know? And I was like, okay, well, how do I wrap this around? What do I do? So initially I was thinking maybe I should do 6 tracks each, or, you know, come up with a number. So I came up with a number of 7. I was like, okay, fine. I need to drop 7 tracks and I need to drop them 3 weeks apart. Initially, that was the story. I was like, Esa, what theme can these 7 tracks carry? And basically decided down to saying, okay, let's make it around the 7 deadly sins. So Envy and Avarice, Pride and Wrath, Gluttony, Sloth and Lust. Those are the 7 deadly sins. You know, Hellenistic. It's well known. There's a movie around it. I even talked at length at one point around, you know, the lucky number 7. 7, you know,
that's one of my movies, bro.
So there's all those incorporated into the like, oh, this is a nice theme. But damn it, how am I gonna make sure? Am I gonna make a project for each of the sins? And like, yo, guys, it's too much. 7 projects. Okay. Let me make it 7 tracks. I'll keep the 7, but it will be in the release. Okay, 7 tracks. Let me drop them 3 weeks apart. So that's really what it was, just creating an envelope to wrap these projects around something that also creates a continuation and for people to follow the story. So that's what happened. So Envy and Avarice was then the first 2 sins, 7 tracks, and then Pride and Wrath, the second 2 sins, 7 tracks each. And then I was like, hey, what do I do now? There's 3 sins left. So I made those 3 into one project and then 7 tracks. So 7 tracks, 7 tracks. So 3 EPs, 7 tracks each.
Do you ever docu on that? Like on the whole? I know there's music.
I never did. Oh, I think I tried to do a press package thing where it was something similar to this, where I was talking through it one by one.
I'm side-eyeing my team right now, like, hey, yo, here's a docu right here, literally letting itself on our fucking laps.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's that was that, though. That was that.
No, that's dope. That's dope. So after these 3 projects, that was 2021. 2022 happens. Obviously, like, you're still milking off that. People still, you had that trap going crazy. No raw beats.
Oh, yeah, that was that in between. Yeah.
Tell us about that 100K.
Yeah,
the shit, 100K streams and whatnot. You guys had a low plaque situation going on. That was dope, man. That was beautiful for the couches. I was like, yo. I remember his manager sent me that. Like, his manager's like, oh, man, trying to get Raw in your pod and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, Raw's my people. I have him on WhatsApp. Like, yeah, I don't know you. I'm like, okay, I don't know you either. So we just did 100. Like, whoa. Did you tell people about this? So I actually posted it before he even posted about it.
Cool. Yeah.
Like literally, like as soon as I'm not here, Papa Jam. As soon as you say I can go ahead, we are going ahead. So that vibe with Raw.
Yeah, I mean it actually started around the time when OB was doing the track with myself and Golden Shout.
Nice, yeah.
So I met Raw Beats during the video of that.
Because he produced the beat for that.
Yeah. Vanish, yeah.
Yeah, Vanish. You got
So we were recording there and then talked a little bit. It was like, yo, dog, this Spanish beat, banana, you know. I kind of laid it off, and then somewhere along the line, yo, dog, what do you think about this? And yo, the minute he sent me that beat, I was like, Ross. Like, yo, I need a cigar and a whiskey glass for this video, dog. Like, please, let's make this proper, you know. It was just that luscious sort of sound, the one, you know, the 100K one. Yo, I think I wrote to that like on the spot. The minute I got it, like within a short period, I was like, yo, I'm ready. What you want to do? Yeah. So it was that, and then. Then we recorded it, we released it, we performed it at Back to the City last year. I'm lying. I actually performed 2 tracks. It was the Vanish track, and then I performed Rod.
Because last year I remember I said, Golden.
Yeah, no.
That was last year,
I called Golden.
Yeah, I remember that. I think we might have that on footage even, don't we, KB?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we have that on footage, yeah.
I did perform it last year. Yeah, but it was just a dope track, man. It was easy to create. It was just, it just sounded right, man. And
shout out to Raw, man. Shout out to the whole wild situation, DJ Obi, like Buffett, whatever Obi Productions is doing. I know it's all love, man. I know it's all love. Yeah, obviously, like as hip hop heads and as people that gravitate to each other's mental, we could do this hours and fucking hours and hours, right? But I do want to wrap it up. But before I wrap it up, I do want to give a bunch of perspective because we don't know who's going to watch this and when. So when they do watch it, what can they expect? What are we working on right now? Because I know we're doing Back to the City, 7th of October. That's going to be massive. It's going to be crazy. I hope they give y'all a good time. But in terms of like whether it's Last Day Spam music or also, but what are we working on in terms of the music?
So as a follow-up to these 3 projects that I dropped around the 7 Deadly Sins, I've started releasing some work. For the last 3 months, I think I've been releasing a music video and a single. I started with Intro, which was the track that was the first track after a while that I dropped earlier this year. Came along with a video. I dropped another one called Find It. I dropped another one called Hot Target with Touchline, which really did well.
Shout out to that.
Yeah, yesterday or 2 days ago. Yesterday I dropped another one called Elbow Room. People should check out those videos.
Check them out.
Each of those
These
tracks
are all visuals.
All visuals, dog.
Nice.
So single with visuals paired together. I'm also trying something new to see, because we live in this visual culture, to attach the single to a video. So that's seeming to be working quite well. Yeah, and I'm basically halfway through my release plan. So the next 3 tracks are going to be fire. You're going to be hearing and seeing Landmarque in a way that you hadn't seen it before. So those are coming through for the rest of the year. 3 more of those coming through very soon. By December, I'm going to drop my video actually.
That's fire. Before we do the shout outs and whatnot, what sort of set should we expect from Last Day Spam and Back to the City?
We're going to relive 2009. It was this one time where DJ Zakes was our DJ at Back to the City in 2009. We performed it and people were like, we want more. We're going to try and recreate that. So come expecting the things that changed your life in varsity. Yeah, if you're coming.
So basically,
we're going to relive 2009.
2023 Last Day Spam performance is nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
That's my shit. I was thinking about it. I want to sing along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're doing like Keith Murray did. You know,
Keith Murray killed dog with just old songs. Yeah. It's so ill, man. And I think also because people miss that, man. Like, I mean, if you go to a festival, it's one Back to the City. Yeah. So if we go there, man, you're going to perform songs we don't know, bro. It's like, come on, man. Do the songs we know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, man, look, dude. By the way, here at Tough Jam, brand new retro, we love you, dog. You know what I mean? The reason why you're here is because mad respect, mad high end, and all the time, whatever you do and whatever that you're involved in, we wish it for the best, for you to go further and whatnot, for the people to fuck with it. Obviously, our agenda will always be about authentically cultural hip hop, and we feel that you represent that. You know what I mean? So truly, truly appreciate you, man. From me and the rest of the family, it's the Landmarque.
Shout out to Tough Jam Entertainment.
You already know, Diamond. You can let people know the original.
Landmarque. Search for Landmarque. The stuff is available on YouTube and all the streaming platforms. Yeah. It's not easy. I mean, it's not difficult, baby.
It's not difficult, bro. So you know the vibe, man. Yeah. Your boy Kriss to the beat. I told y'all, man, like we've been out for a few months right now. The last fun that we had was with Father Tech. Catch that nigga at Back to the City on the 7th of August. He's on the main stage. My nigga Froz, we have Froz next week Saturday. It's gonna be super, super ill. So we're gonna be doing back to back of these, and we're not gonna sleep on dropping these. So shout out to everybody that fucks with the family. Tough Jam Entertainment, brand new retro podcast. Just wanna say that shout out to my team, Timo Kane, my boy Lil Houdini. Everybody, my nigga Landmarque. We truly appreciate you. My G, one love, King.
Most welcome.
Plaka. Peace. We good.